So, here's a wild fact. The Soviet Union became the second country on Earth to build and detonate a nuclear bomb. Just 4 years after the United States. But wait a minute. The USSR had just been torn apart by World War II, so how on earth did they pull off something this expensive and advanced that fast? Let's break down the story of how the Soviet Union actually got its first nukes. Now, splitting the atom wasn't some secret idea in 1945. Scientists around the world already knew it could be done. The real issue? It cost a ridiculous amount of money, and the Soviets didn't exactly have spare cash lying around after the war. So their nuclear program didn't really start rolling until after Nazi Germany was defeated. But that didn't mean Moscow wasn't paying attention to what everyone else was doing, especially the Americans. It didn't take long for Soviet intelligence to realize that the US was cooking up something big. How did they figure it out? 2 clues. First, American scientists suddenly stopped publishing research about nuclear physics. And second, good old-fashioned spying. The British team working on the American project quietly sent word back to Moscow. The Americans were building a bomb. Now, a lot of people assume the Soviets just stole the US bomb plans and copied them. Not exactly. Yes, they did have spies inside the Manhattan Project, but here's the twist. The Soviets didn't fully trust that information. Their nuclear program was run by Lavrentiy Beria, head of Soviet intelligence, and this guy was extremely paranoid, which, to be fair, made sense. His predecessor had been executed by Stalin, so Beria thought, what if the Allies are feeding us fake info? Because of that, he told Soviet scientists to develop the bomb's theory from scratch, just to be sure. Then came Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The instant those bombs dropped, Stalin knew the world had changed. He ordered the Soviet nuclear project to be expanded at any cost. Money poured in from everywhere. The logic was simple. If the USSR didn't have nuclear weapons, it wouldn't survive in a world dominated by America. Now, the real challenge wasn't designing the bomb. It was finding the right materials. Uranium of bomb quality was already controlled by the US and Britain, and the Soviets weren't sure if they had enough inside their borders, so they switched to plutonium instead. They had some in the Ural Mountains, but mining and processing it was insanely expensive, unless you had a near-endless supply of cheap labor. And under Stalin, well, they did. With plutonium being mined, the project moved full steam ahead. Soviet scientists built everything from scratch, using the stolen data only to double-check their progress. They even brought in captured German scientists after the war, but kept them isolated in separate facilities so they couldn't talk to anyone else. By 1949, after more than 500,000 people had worked on it, the Soviet bomb was ready. Just to play it safe, they copied the American bomb casing. So if it didn't work, at least it looked convincing. The test went off perfectly. The US found out soon after, and just like that, the Cold War began in earnest. From then on, both sides were locked in a deadly race to see who could build the next big thing, the hydrogen bomb. And that's the story of how the Soviet Union built its first nuke. A mix of paranoia, espionage, science, and sheer determination.